They told us time was real, that it moves forward, like a river that carries us from birth to death, that everything that begins must end. But maybe time was never a river. Maybe it was a mirror, and every reflection we see is just ourselves, trying to remember the shape of eternity. One morning, the clock on my wall stopped ticking. I thought it had broken, but then I realized everything else had stopped too. The light through the window, the dust in the air, even the sound of my own breathing. Time wasn't moving, and neither was I. I stood there, waiting for the next second to arrive, but it didn't. It was as if the universe had forgotten me. The silence was so deep, it almost had a weight. The weight of every heartbeat that ever was. I looked outside. The street was still full of people, but none of them were moving. They were frozen midst, like statues of thought, and yet, behind their eyes I saw motion, not forward or backward, just inward. That was when I understood. Time doesn't pass through us. We pass through it. And sometimes, we get stuck between seconds, caught in the stillness that holds the world together. I wandered through the silence, touching things that should have changed, but didn't. A candle's flame stood perfectly still. My reflection didn't blink. It was beautiful and terrifying. Then I saw her, a version of me, sitting by the window, drinking coffee that never cooled. She looked up, and we locked eyes. The me from yesterday, or maybe tomorrow. I realized I'd been here before, dozens of times, living the same morning, over and over. Maybe that's all time really is. A story we tell ourselves, to make sense of repetition. The sun rises, the heart beats, the world spins, and we pretend it's new. But what if it's always the same moment, unfolding itself in different disguises? I began to hear whispers in the stillness, not from outside, from the space between my thoughts. They said, "You have been every age, every life, every silence. Time isn't running out, you are." That truth broke something open in me. I saw every memory at once. My childhood laughter, my first heartbreak, the faces of those I've lost. They weren't behind me. They were all here, layered inside this single breath. And then, time spoke, not as a voice, but as an ache. It said, "I never wanted to move forward. You were the one who kept running." The stillness became unbearable. I tried to move, but there was nowhere to go. There was no before, no after, only the endless now. And in that endlessness, I understood what eternity feels like. It's not forever. It's the absence of change. Then, something shifted. A heartbeat slow, heavy. My own, perhaps, or the world's. I felt gravity return. Colors breathe again. Sound ripple through the air. Time had started moving, but I no longer believed in it. I walked outside. The same people continued their steps. The sun was in the same place. The hour hand had jumped forward, but I knew it was lying, because deep inside, I was still there, in the silence between seconds. Maybe time never existed. Maybe what we call tomorrow is just a version of today that learned to forgive. Maybe we invented time to give meaning to our waiting, to measure the distance between who we were and who we might become. And maybe when everything ends, it's not because the clock stops. It's because we finally remember that there was never a clock at all. Time doesn't move. It only watches us, quietly, patiently, until we're ready to be still. So if you ever feel like you're running out of time, stop running. Look around. The moment you're in is infinite.